When you're that distraught about your travel candy exploding, it's not a stable environment.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, I am Ramona Ramirez, and as always, seeing you and talking with you before we hit record changed my day. So I thank you, friend.
Likewise, thank you. It's a blessing.
It really is. Truly, truly. Before we start in earnest, there's some pretty significant, I would say, Bravo news out there in the last
It's raining down. Yeah.
It is. We've learned that Teddy is
very ill.
She's very ill.
Very ill. With
very ill.
Like a very difficult recovery road ahead. Already having gone through major surgery that was not able to be complete. Like, it's just scary. It's very scary. So,
and it's sad, and we wish her health and recovery.
Yeah. We want all of our housewives well and functioning so we can lightly make fun of them as they breeze on with their lives.
Right.
So,
and whether or not I agree with her past behavior, two things can be true at the same time. I can really have a problem with her selling a program that was basically an eating disorder that you paid to learn how to do. And I can also feel for her and her family and her loved ones. And I would never wish that on any housewife
or anyone.
Or housewife in the orbit. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just real scary and uncertain. So,
yes.
But she's getting good care, which is all you can do, in terms of like what is in my control. If I was Teddy, she's doing everything she can do. So,
yeah. So we wish her health and send her light and love.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of Teddy, Tamara has supposedly quit. She announced that she left the Real Housewives of Orange County. And Margie and I were chatting about this before we hit record. I am very cynical. She has quit in the past. She tends to quit when she feels criticized or has lost control of people's perception of her. We know that Gretchen Rossi, who I think is an utter trash piece of shit human, is on this season, and she triggers Tamara a lot, which is, I'm sure, part of why they brought Gretchen on to be a friend of. I also acknowledge that one of her dearest friends is going through a profound health crisis right now. And I can understand if that gives her a perspective on things that she didn't have before Teddy became so ill. However, I don't know, like, one of my therapists told me, and I will never forget this, I think I've talked about him before. His name was John. He said, past behavior predicts future behavior. Now, I'm saying if someone hasn't gone through like significant work on themselves, that's the person that will fit that example of past behavior predicting future behavior. As soon as she posted the selfie, saying, I'm out, peace out, her filtered selfie, like what is that? I'm cynical. And again, two things can be true. I can understand that she might have a shift in perspective given what's going on with her dear, dear friend. And I can also have healthy amounts of skepticism based on who we know that Tamara is and what she does.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. And so I'm hesitant to, because if she is going to see her friend, then like.
Yeah. And that I understand, obviously.
Of course. Yeah. You said as much, but she didn't give us any explanation. And so it feels a little baity in that way. And it's like,
that's
what is going on? Can you just say, like, I'm going to go be with my friend? That's the most important thing. Instead of saying, like, when real life things are more important, you say, fuck off, reality TV. It's like, well, what? It's your podcast partner, your wildly successful podcast. It's your friend. It would make so much sense to everybody. So I'm uncomfortable saying anything because I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And I don't like Tamra, so I could say something real shitty.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't like that her best friend is in the direst of straits. So I don't want to
agree.
be a dick if she really is going to just be by her
Oh,
side. So I just
God.
don't know. And she did that. That's her media training of like hook them and make them talk about me.
Yeah,
you did
exactly.
it, girl.
And see that you're right. That's what it is. And I understand that my role on this podcast, whether I know that I'm the dick of the two of us.
How dare you? That's not true. You also remember I'm just mere months removed from a situation where a dear friend, literally my psyche is trapped in that place. So I'm not in a place to be my normal self around this subject matter. You know what I mean? It's not about dick or not dick. It's about current damage that is guiding my headspace. And yet I see what Tamra did. It's interesting in this episode, PK and Dorit have a conversation about clarity. She kept saying, I'm just trying to get some clarity. And I feel like that's what I would want to ask Tamra is like, can you be a little less vague? Can you be clear about what this hot pink Instagram story is meant to be? Because
Peace out, I'm out. Oh, God.
Which is so casual if it is to go see your friend who's in need of support. Like, I just don't know what's going on.
I agree.
But Tamra's chaotic. So, like, I guess it's on brand.
You're right. She is. But it is. It's that intrigue, that vague posting. They used to call it vague booking when that's all we had, Yeah. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that is the only reason I think that it would be so convenient for her. Like she bailed when they were in Bali, like those many years ago.
That when she ran away.
That's
barefoot.
When she ran away. Yeah. You'll never see me again. And then like scampers down a long marble hallway. And trust me, like if I'm wrong, I will fucking mea culpa the shit out of myself.
But I don't think we'll ever know. That's true. That's part of her chaos. Is like she leaves it vague so that she can have any answer when the time comes to answer. Oh my God, the fallout,
that's a really good point. Oh God, you're right. You're right. I will say this about Tamra: she is on the right side of history when it comes to who we vote for. That's all I'm going to say, which is shocking for Orange County. But she is, and she has spoken about it. So thank you for that, Tamra. The other thing is James posted a fucking, I don't know. I don't remember if it was a story or a reel or a post, because who gives a shit? That's not the fucking point. The point is he posed with two of the most disgusting pieces of diabolical shit on the fucking planet that make me question my fucking faith in the world. These men are so disgusting. He posted a picture of himself with Tristan and Andrew Tate. Ugh, my mouth didn't even want to say those names out loud. And then deleted it. And then the hair plug brother, Tristan, he posted something in response saying that James begged us for 30 minutes to take this picture. James knew exactly who we were when he asked for that picture to be taken. So for all the fucking masking as a good guy he did last season.
But I'm not inclined to believe that. This is a convicted sex trafficker.
Oh.
I don't know who to believe, but it was a bad.
He knew exactly who they were, though.
Why?
You don't just. He knew who the Tate. Oh,
oh
fuck yeah, I do.
Gross.
Oh, Margie. Yes.
I didn't see the picture or anything. I just saw the headline and I was like, yuck, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. And then he posted some nitwit, anemic apology in quotations. I wasn't aware who they were. That's right. He said he wasn't aware who they were when he took the picture. And that's when the hair plug brother came out and said he knew exactly who we were. He begged us for like a half an hour to take a picture with him. And the fact that he did that to Allie just checks out with the kind of credo that they have. One of my friends up in Portland has two sons that I adore. And I've literally just come out and said, don't fucking listen to him. Don't listen to this man. And they're like, Ramona, trust me, I wouldn't do it. I fear for my son. Obviously, I will forbid him from listening to those pieces of shit or other men of that ilk. I will forbid him from listening to them while he's under my roof. I have faith that he would eschew their credos. I can't control what his friends are going to listen to. And they're escaping justice right now, too, by the fact that they were invited back to the States and were told that they would face no consequences for their disgusting criminal activities. So fuck James Kennedy. Fuck him all the way to his destruction. I don't care. Fuck that guy. And let's just prepare ourselves for LVP to come out and make an excuse for him. Let's do that. Let's let past behavior dictate future behavior and not be shocked when she comes out in defense of James.
I don't think there's a need. He's not on any of her shows anymore.
He's still booking DJ gigs.
But he's not connected to her. He's not a reflection of her anymore. You know, she would defend him on camera on the shows. You know what I mean? And I just don't know if she, who knows? But she is always on the side of
problematic, disgusting men.
She really is. She gets loud about coming to their defense. So who knows? But
boys will be boys. He didn't know. Yeah, I'm so glad Allie left. I'm so glad.
Yeah, that was not
it's hard.
Safe.
It's hard. I don't ever blame victims for staying. Apparently, the average is it takes 7 times to try to leave before you actually leave for good. And I was really scared that Allie would go back. And I'm so grateful that for whatever reason, she made a different choice. So
this is where I do think reality TV is powerful because the public has the information. We all, read excerpts of the police report. You know, I think about when Rihanna got back with Chris Brown and it was very secretive because the world was like, girl, we love you and you're in danger, girl. Like, this is not safe.
We saw the pictures.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if there's something helpful about like the whole world being like, no, please, we got you. You're not safe there. There's something better for you. We'll take care of you.
That's what I was thinking when I said for whatever reason.
Yeah, I hope
but
that. That's a lovely outcome of these shows.
It's a benefit.
That can be a service it provides.
And then the last thing is that, we're 2 episodes away from the showdown between Sutton and Dorit over money. I thought it was gross. And then I also, I understand that everyone's really Team Dorit this season. But
not everyone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not everyone.
Oh, you mean in the cast?
No, I mean like in the fandom, in the Bravoverse fans. There are
some Sutton holdouts who are really.
Oh, yeah, there are. And what they've been doing on Reddit this week is bringing receipts.
Okay.
Bringing up the lawsuits, bringing up let we not forget that she hasn't paid one of her makeup artists.
Sutton?
Dorit.
Oh. Gotcha.
Dorit hasn't paid one of her makeup artists. Dorit hasn't paid the nurse that took care of her post-plastic surgery. A video has been circulating where a woman was chasing her around a pool
yes,
in the Bahamas.
Came out a while ago.
It came out a while ago, but people on Reddit have been recirculating it to remind us all, she smoked a fucking cigarette and looked really cool in her Range Rover on the way to meet Erica or whatever at the very beginning of the season. But she's shady. She has issues with money that are affecting other people's livelihoods. We're all expected to pay our debts. That's the agreement. And she's not. Again, 2 things can be true. Dorit can be shady, and Sutton was messy and cruel. But period.
But period.
But period, But period.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think anyone, and I'm not on Reddit, so I don't know, but I don't think anyone was arguing that Dorit is not Dorit.
Yeah.
Sutton was not wrong. It was just rude and cruel and But
She's
yeah,
a
she's
fronter.
not.
She's a fronter and a poser.
Yeah, which
She
is why she
fronts.
got cast on the show. Because there's no like authentic about that woman. There never has been. What is her accent? She's a student of the world. Like she's insane.
She is. She is. Anyway,
But yeah,
those were the three things that I felt were relevant to
noteworthy.
bring up.
And
Yes,
also
noteworthy. Thank
Jack's
you.
announcing what we've all known since the
Oh,
premiere of Vanderpump Rules,
yes.
which is that he's a coke addict. But it was
Yes.
interesting to hear him say that he's done it daily, nearly daily for over 20 years.
Oh my God.
That is going to be a hard habit to kick. I imagine he might have some relapse as part of recovery moments because he doesn't seem to have built a skill set. He left rehab early after 17 days saying, I got it.
Oh my God.
And that makes me nervous for his continued sobriety. But
I didn't even click on the Jack's articles because I couldn't.
we all knew. He's the only one who didn't know.
Ay, ay, ay. It's, oh, well, how do I shift this into like, I'm very grateful that I'm not in any of those three places.
Yeah. And if nothing else, it's good, like, whatever comes of Jack's sobriety, it's good for his kid to know that he has addict genes. So to be cautious when he starts experimenting, and which he inevitably will. Coming from that family background, it would be hard to. Anyways, who knows? But
yeah, and you're right. Like the healthy, did he leave rehab early? Because didn't you say that the Valley is about to come back?
I think he left during filming of The Valley to go to rehab, but it was a 30-day program and he left 17 days in, and like that's not quite enough. It doesn't seem.
I'm going to project that is unchecked fucking ego if you are not humble when you're trying to get recovery. And I don't mean humbled as in you're beating yourself up. I mean you're in a place where you're like, I need to be teachable right now. I need to be open because I am not, oh God, Margie, what am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm doing. My way of doing cocaine every day is causing me harm and causing the people around me harm. I can't live like this anymore. 17 days? Holy shit.
I mean, I've never been in inpatient treatment, so I don't know what that's like, but it doesn't seem like any professional has ever suggested, like, you go ahead and leave when you feel like you got it,
Oh my God, no. I often think that 30 days isn't even enough.
I mean, for all of Raquel's faults, she stayed for 90 and continued her treatment after.
Yeah.
Like, that's another person with a long road ahead of her, and she seems to be making better choices.
Ay, ay, ay.
Who knows?
Anywho,
yeah.
Let's talk about this batch of women. Let's talk about these ladies. We're going to be discussing The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 14, episode 15, entitled Trouble in Paradise. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ay, ay, ay. We open with a little bit of montages. Dorit, Erica Jane, and Bose are at Erica Jane's. Bose brings Telfar jelly bags filled with goods for them.
In preparation for their St. Lucia girls trip.
She says the St. Lucia fashion show, meaning when the ladies put on the items that she included in her Telfar jelly gift bags for them, will be a real fashion show. And she's alluding to Sutton's fashion show that apparently Bose didn't think was real.
She was shading her, but she's like, "Ooh, I didn't mean to say that," but it just came out. But it felt pointed.
It felt like an Urkel, like, did I say that?
You're right.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the name of this bag that you keep saying?
Telfar.
I don't know what that is. Is that a brand or?
Yes.
Okay.
He is a Black designer that came out, God, was it before the pandemic, during the pandemic? Anyway, there's the iconic T in a circle design. And as soon as they came out, they were sold out immediately. And the bags are cute. But yeah, I noticed that they were Telfar. And yeah, he's really famous for making a nice substantial tote bag that's cute. Anyway, then we pivot to Sutton's house. Garcelle comes over and they're chatting a little bit about the fashion show, and it's being circulated that people are referring to Kathy Hilton as fashion roadkill. I refer to her as an entitled white lady. That's what I think she is. I'm over her shtick. the bullshit towards the end when she's unpacking all of her toiletries and there's boots on the counter, which is disgusting.
That was gross.
And it's like, are we really like, she's not Sophia Petrillo. She's eccentric, but without the charm of eccentricity. So get her the fuck off my screen. She's gross.
I did find it charming when she giggled in her confessional. That seemed real, and that was like the first expression of emotion from her that I actually believed. That would have been enough for me for this episode. I did not need to see shot after shot of her pulling cosmetics out and putting boots on a sink.
I didn't either.
Weird. They're at Erica Jane's now, and Dorit reports to Erica and Bose that Garcelle had called Dorit out for mentioning Sutton's drinking, saying, she's sensitive about it. And then Erica takes a weird heel turn and makes it about herself, saying, what about what was done to me? Erica says in her confessional, Sutton and Garcelle cut me no breaks when I was going through the lowest point of my life. They commented freely on her lawsuits and medication and drinking, and then we get flashbacks to see that was all so. And that's fine, but like relevance, objection, relevance, like I just don't know why this entered the conversation. It's over for you now. We're on to Martin Lawrence Bullard's decoration refresh for you.
Honestly, and I think it's kind of comparing apples and oranges, to be honest. I really do.
It did feel like not part of this conversation. When she said, what about what happened to me? I was like, what are you talking about? And then she explained, and I was like, but still.
Yeah.
Why now? Okay.
Yeah.
And then Erica says that Garcelle consistently defends Sutton's behavior, and that is becoming a point of contention in the group now.
Yeah. And Dorit says that the Garcelle looks at Sutton with rose-colored glasses, just like she said to Garcelle at dinner the week before. I mean, I do too. I feel like she's always shown us her insecure sides. I'm not saying they come out without splattering in a negative way. I'm not saying that. Her behavior in Oceanside at the beginning of the season was unhealthy. It was toxic. But I've made it no secret on this podcast that I have a real problem accepting Sutton for who she is. I give her a lot of grace where I probably should not.
If it were only so simple that she was one thing, so she was hateable or lovable, but that's like, she's more complex than that.
Yeah.
And everyone's just sort of rehashing this. Like Bose notes the hypocrisy of being called out for defending Dorit and being Dorit's mouthpiece, while Garcelle does the same for Sutton and has for years. And Bose says, in a weird, seemingly out of character Mean Girl moment, was like, well, I'm putting together the rooms for St. Lucia and we're all going to stay together. Right, girls? And I was like, what is this? That was weird. And also, you don't need to say it like that. You put people in the right rooms with people who they're comfortable with. Those are the right people to sleep together. So I don't understand why this became a whole thing. And it seemed unnecessarily mean.
I agree. I feel like in this episode, some of the shine has come off of Bose for me.
Yeah, this wasn't great.
But everyone's like, no one's fucking perfect, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So we go back to Sutton's. Garcelle tells Sutton that she and Dorit talked about Kyle and Mo. Sutton says that she noticed that Dorit and Kyle were acting like besties at the fashion show. And Garcelle says that Kyle and Dorit having a beef works against Sutton because Sutton wants to be really good friends with Kyle for some reason. I don't know.
No, she said it helps Sutton.
It helps Sutton?
Because if Kyle and Dorit are fighting, it helps Sutton be friends with Kyle because there's no competition from Dorit.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That's what I meant to say.
That was like such a sad reflection.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this whole episode is going to be high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Garcelle said, I think it's all Sutton wants. She wants to be really good friends with Kyle.
Garcelle says that Dorit does feel for Kyle after seeing the pictures of Mo come out. But they also talked about Kyle being at Mau-rgan's concert. And Garcelle says we can talk about Mo, but we can't talk about Kyle being at Mau-rgan's concert. And that is because Kyle is full hip. She's full fucking hip. But Sutton says that she wants to respect that boundary, that Kyle does not want to talk about the pictures with Mau-rgan. I just...
Yeah, that was weird. And then she sort of talked Garcelle through a whole way to mention it without mentioning it if she must. Like this Mau-rgan thing is really like, it seems like Kyle has put that as like the line in the sand of you are my friend if you do not talk about this, and you are my enemy if you do talk about Mau-rgan. And Garcelle in her confessional says Sutton is definitely afraid of Kyle. Although she says she doesn't bow down, she bows down. So I guess something in Sutton like badly wants to please and impress, or at least not piss off Kyle. And she'll go to any lengths to do that, which was weird to see. It's really,
God.
yeah, I didn't understand that dynamic until this episode. So she gives Garcelle guidelines of how to broach the topic by asking in a very general, non-specific way and letting Kyle decide if she wants to engage a conversation about Mau-rgan. Like all Sutton suggested Garcelle say is like, it seems like you were having a good time at a concert.
Yeah.
And like it was just so...
Spending a lot of time like, strategizing how to bring this up. Like, just like, listen, we saw you at the concert with Mau-rgan. Like, what? You know?
It's so weird that Kyle won't talk about it. It's just so weird.
It's part of what is so infuriating about her.
Because it shades this whole episode, this interaction with Mauricio where she's like, I guess it gives me permission to do what I'm going to do. I'm like, you left so you could do what you want to do. I don't understand.
You've been with Mau-rgan for 2 fucking years. Papped at every opportunity.
Which
don't go to
take
Sushi
away...
Park if you don't want to get photographed.
Right, but it doesn't take away from the impact of that Mykonos kiss between Mauricio and that young woman. But Mauricio went through those impacts and also had Mau-rgan like in a season where he was still trying to say, like, it just, the whole thing is like, it's incomplete. And so I get frustrated and confused.
God.
As does Garcelle, because she says about Sutton, she just, in her confessional, she goes, I can't, with all of these rules about Kyle and all of that stuff.
So then we pivot to Kyle's house where Bose arrives, bringing Kyle her own Telfar jelly bag stuffed with goods for St. Lucia. I want to admit that Kyle speaks much better Spanish than I do, and I'm getting there.
I mean, as she tells us, she has had a lifetime of people working for her, growing up in Los Angeles. She says, as if anyone who grew up in LA also has like a staff. Like, come on, girl.
Yeah.
And then she also mentioned Mauricio, so it makes sense that she's very familiar with the language if it's been spoken all around her entire life. And Kyle does mention that she appreciated a text that Bose sent her after the photograph came out. And Bose very sweetly was like, I'll drive over there and kill him. Like she was one of those friends. And she shares a story of why she understands where Kyle is with all of this. She shares the story of her husband being in the hospital with terminal cancer, and his hot young girlfriend was there with him, rubbing his head and giving him very tender kisses. And Bose lost her shit and kicked the girl out of it sounded like she kicked the girl out of the hospital room. And it's just too painful when a relationship that you've built your life, your whole adult life around crumbles. It's really painful to see the next girl come in. So I thought that was nice that she gave that. She really wanted Kyle to feel seen and safe to be in that emotional space.
And Kyle took full advantage of that. Her plan, I don't believe for a minute that she was not using this scene as an opportunity to have Bose switch her perspective of her. It's so convenient. Like when you first met me, that's when Mo and I had first separated. And I felt like she fell into Kyle's trap of manipulating her. She's been with Mau-rgan for 2 years. At this point.
I didn't get the sense that like Bose was buying it. I think she was just there to like hear it out. Because I'm with you. And I literally thought like, ooh, I feel like Kyle is doing right now exactly what you said she would do on the reunion. She just had an opportunity to get ahead of it. I don't remember exactly what you said, but as it was happening, I'm like, I feel like I've heard this script before. And I think it may have come from Ramona's mouth, anticipating exactly this reaction. So
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. And part of like, what does she say? Oh, she says that she tells Bose that they're separating in a very non-traditional way. And that really bugged the shit out of me. Because again, Kyle is so attached to this narrative that she and Mo are very unique. We are very, very special. Our separation isn't like all the other separations. And this is why she's burned every bridge, every imaginary bridge with me as a viewer. Because she's so arrogant. She's so fucking arrogant and self-obsessed. And it's just, how do I explain it? It's not that it's not entertaining to watch, but it's also like, Jesus Christ, are you really, this is what you're going to show us? Okay. She does not have any of my respect. That's what I'm trying to say. She has not earned my respect. She's lost my respect. She lost my respect, though, I think, the very first season when she called Kim a liar and an alcoholic on camera. I think Kyle's not a good person.
Yeah. It's like you said, this is a performance, it's like everything is a performance, and it's an edited, curated performance. And I didn't believe her tears. I have in other scenes. I did believe them in the scene with Mauricio, but I didn't believe them here. It was weird. It was a show. She put on a show.
Yeah. And then she says at the end of the scene that the picture changed, seeing the picture of him with the other woman at Mykonos gave her permission to do things she's been avoiding doing, like moving forward with the potential next steps. It's like, dude, you've been with Morgan for 2 years. You're with Morgan. You're with Morgan, Kyle. That's it.
Again, it's like the vagueness is so annoying. It's like, what do you mean?
And
move forward with what do you need to do? What does that mean? Get divorced, move in with Morgan? What are you talking about?
And all in her own Kyle Richards brand of victim, victim, victim. I am the victim.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if in the reunion Andy holds her feet to the fire for any of this, because it's just so absurd. It's just like, why? What is the point of shooting these scenes if you're not going to talk about? I'm with Garcelle. I'm just so frustrated by like the restrictions on not talking about the whole story.
Especially given the fact that her refrain every season, including to Erica, who is a card-carrying member of what was the Fox Force 5. She's like one of the only ones left of the Fox Force 5. They were so stupid to call themselves that. Didn't they call themselves the Fox Force 5
I think so,
or something?
but I never knew why.
Fox. Well, it wouldn't be 4-5. It would be the Fox 5 or whatever. Oh, my God. You know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So she even called out Erica 2 seasons ago or whenever all that shit was going down. I think it was 2 seasons ago. So, like, she's a full hip. I have no respect for her. I'm grossed out. She repulses me. This is no secret. I don't need to take anyone else's time ranting about that.
And she sort of ends the scene by saying this will be the first time that she'll see Mauricio since he's been in Europe for the better part of a month. So that's coming up, but not before we sit down to dinner with Dorit and PK at Drake's. And this scene is really uncomfortable. So Dorit starts by saying she's grateful that PK leaned in and gave her a kiss. Already I was like, oh no, this woman is not here for the reality of this situation. And she reminds us they've been separated for 3 months now, and it's the worst roller coaster she's ever been on with him. PK's demonstratively uncomfortable, saying, I could use a drink. Oh, I don't drink. This is going to be like, clearly he does not want to be there doing this. And Dorit says what every good Al-Anon says, I have no idea what to expect tonight. And they order a hilarious mocktail called a Phony Negroni, which is cute. And then the rest of the scene is brutal.
PK infuriated me. From the very first minute he starts in, Dorit says that she's proud of him for his hard work. She's keeping her eyes open, but she senses that in the last few months, things have shifted for him. And he says, the first time things started going wrong was when they and this is since they separated, was when they started talking about him taking an apartment. He has the fucking audacity to say, one of the main issues in our marriage was your control issues. I paused the TV because, I'm even feeling it in my chest right now, the rage of this newly sober man still refusing, like willfully blaming somebody else for his predicament. One of the things I learned from program was to not ever really bring up the other person. I would be able to talk about my role in whatever dynamic I was in with somebody else. And one of the things I learned, this is humility, is that I had to mea culpa for what I did, regardless of what they did to maybe trigger my reaction. The point in recovery was that I was only supposed to talk about what I did. And that is a very vulnerable place to be in when it's like, I did this, and for that, I'm sorry. Even if on the cosmic scoreboard that I refer to all the time, even if the person that you're talking with should, quote unquote, like be apologizing to you, was irrelevant. My only role in that would be for me to take responsibility for my actions. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I do think this, to me, it's just like, this is just a display of an alcoholic and an Al-Anon, just why it doesn't work to have that dynamic. I was all over the place with this because, yes, I find PK very difficult, but there were a couple moments where I was like, oh, I see, you're trying. Like Dorit says, my eyes are wide open for the first time. And PK's response was, I don't want to misinterpret what you mean by my eyes are wide open. And I thought that was a nice pause to put in the conversation instead of just flying off the handle, which he later does. He asked for clarity. And in the rooms, they say clarity is freedom. So
That's true.
At least he tried. I'm like steeped in Al-Anon right now. And so I just see the sickness in Dorit of like her at the end being like, it's all up to PK. It's like, no, you have agency. You asked the question, do you want to get a divorce? You asked it 3 separate times. You got the same answer all 3 times. It's not the answer you wanted. And so now you're going to blame PK. You have agency. You just don't like the answer you got and you're not in acceptance.
I agree.
You need to get a lawyer, girl. Like, I just can't. And I was shocked to hear that PK, in that email he sent to Dorit, advised her to get counsel, secure counsel. We are moving forward. And for her to ask, did you at any point want a divorce? You don't ask to bring on legal counsel if there's hope for reconciliation. And that is the delusion. And it's how an alcoholic Al-Anon dynamic works, is like the alcoholic does messy, crazy, chaotic shit. And the Al-Anon's disease is the control. So he's not wrong. That is part of the problem. He's right. They shouldn't be together, Like toward the end of this, I appreciated what he had to say. And I think it's interesting she left out the part about that email that did sound actually threatening and horrible. But he did advise her to get counsel so that professionals could handle this because they were not communicating in a productive fashion.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in that dynamic. All I'm saying is I'm a fan of them divorcing because this is just, it's dark.
I agree. I don't know. I'm starting to get really skeptical that this is not a storyline. Or maybe both things can be true.
I think Dorit wants it to be a storyline, and I think PK is done. And again, he was gone for years.
That's the thing. And also, when he says that I'm in an apartment, I'm in
the most humble apartment. Blow me.
Listen, if you're down
on the Wilshire corridor, sir.
Probably, right? If I actually thought, okay, if he's down the hall from Tom Schwartz in North fucking Hollywood.
Never.
All right.
He would never.
Exactly.
The car he pulled up in does not scream humble apartment. Calm
exactly.
down, sir.
And also, she is the sole parent raising these kids. Yeah, she's in that fucking house, dude. She's in that house because she has the children. So fuck you and your claim to live in a humble-ass apartment. I can't stand this man. I can't stand this man. And just to backtrack to something that you said about the Al-Anon's role wanting the control.
Needing the control because you're with a chaotic psycho,
right. So you have to look for any safety that you can get amidst this fucking chaos where there's no ground, there's no stable ground that you're walking on. Any day, some new ripple from their bomb of chaos making can explode all over, and you got to figure it out every goddamn day. How am I going to feel safe in this situation? Emotionally safe, sometimes physically safe. And the clarity, you think it's going to help you, but it doesn't. It doesn't.
I mean, it's a survival mechanism that works until it doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's a normal human reaction to try and gain control of a situation that's out of control. But Dorit is not an acceptance that this marriage is where it is. Whether they actually divorce or not, he's never moving back in. He's been slowly slipping away for years. She says, "You're 100 steps ahead of me," and he has been for years. And I don't know why she didn't take his advice to get a lawyer, because like that's the only way to protect yourself from someone as like erratic and seemingly incapable of being like kind as PK is. And he's so resentful. Yes, bringing up that you live in the
my
house and I'm
God.
in a humble apartment.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. He's blaming her. I have not seen anything where he's like, I was away for 2 weeks from our kids in London, just not being there to parent. I caused...
And unplanned. It's not like he
Yeah.
like was going to take a 2-week trip so she could prepare and get childcare in place. He just left and kept delaying.
I haven't heard any of those apologies. All I hear is him blaming Dorit for all of his issues. And I think he's a scumbag.
But I think that's what he's saying is that's where he's at. And at least he can acknowledge, like, I'm not in a place to apologize or forgive, get a lawyer so they can talk and we can work our way through this. Because at the end, he says, for the third time, Dorit asks, do you want to get a divorce? Are we moving forward with divorce? And he says, this is what ends a marriage. And then this incredibly cruel thing, he says, instead of bringing out the best in me, you bring out the worst in me. And I was like, sir, you could have left that alone. But then he gets to the meat of it, which is and I appreciated him for this. I did not have this. You did not have this. A father who said, we have to co-parent and make it loving and kind for our children. So that's his thesis statement. And he says, you're my best fucking mate. And we need to find that friendship again. We lost it. And he doesn't know if divorce is in their future. He says, right now it feels like there's no fucking chance, but you just never know. And Dorit asks for clarity and he gives it to her. He says, for me, what's next is the journey for us to become friends again and co-parent our children. And beyond that, I don't blame him for not making any promises, And again, Dorit has agency. If that's not enough for you, you file for divorce. You're not just at a loss. Or if you want him back, then stay in it and want him back. And that's like the Al-Anon side of it is like, it's all up to them. I have no control. Yes, you do. You can start your life anytime you fucking want.
Yeah.
You just don't want to because it's painful and sad and devastating. And it's not what you want. I don't think anyone is rooting for their marriage to make it. It never seemed like a marriage anyone would want to be in anyway.
Not from the jump, dude.
So get out. Dorit can pull the ripcord just as fast as PK can. And she just wants to make it his problem. She's at his whim. Once again, PK gets to decide. No.
I mean, imagine trying to like wait it out for PK to make the decision that he wants to be with you. My God.
But I also understand not wanting to dissolve your family, but I wish she could just take that responsibility herself and acknowledge, like, I could file for divorce if I wanted to. I choose not to because I have hope that this family can rebuild, which I don't know. It's just, I just wanted out of that dinner. Again, it's like, these are people whose lawyers should be doing the talking because they are just not, there's so much deep resentment and you can just feel it.
Oh, I can
pulsing across their Caesar salads.
I can hear the conversations he's having with his AA friends about Dorit. I can hear them. I can hear the like, she does this and she is this and she, Dorit, and absolutely zero PK. Absolutely zero. And then I can see the other one across from him standing in front of the log cabin, smoking his cigarette, like, yeah, blah, 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 blah about Dorit. I can see it. And I'm being a dick. I'm cynical about this man and I don't see anything that should make me think otherwise.
I mean, I saw some rays of light in that, like, they didn't have a knockdown drag out because they clearly are both simmering on some real hot resentment. And I just, again, depending on where he is, if he is continuing with his recovery and working the steps, depending on where he is in those steps, it wouldn't be fair to expect him to come in with like deep grace and whatever just yet. Like both of them are still deeply in their dynamic, the one that broke up the marriage to begin with.
Fair.
And again, I just think they should get out. Like
Very
that's
fair.
the
Very
only
fair.
solution I can find at this time.
But
You know, I did the same thing. I do it on this podcast all the time. My dad, my dad, my dad, my dad. And it's me. I'm an adult and I have taken agency. I found a relationship with tons of years, decades in therapy and 12-step rooms. I found a relationship with my father that works. It's at a great distance, which is not what I wanted. And for years, I was throwing a tantrum because I wanted the dad I wanted. I was Dorit asking like, but do you really want a divorce? But you don't want a divorce. I'm just trying to get clarity. Do you really not want me as a daughter? But I tried so hard. Did you see how hard I try? You'll never find a better daughter than me. I had to give that up. And it took decades. I didn't get there till I got there.
I signed up for an online forgiveness course by a mindfulness teacher by the name of Jack Kornfield. And one of the things I listened to yesterday, he said, forgiveness is letting go of wanting the past to be different. And I was like, oh shit, that's true. Because all of my feelings about my qualifier, who is my father, are past hurts and not understanding behavior that I would never show my kid. And it's not going to change. I can be sad about that stuff all I want. I can hold on to those resentments all I want. It's not going to change what is and what was. Nothing is going to change that. And I feel like that was what you were just saying.
Yeah. And it feels like Dorit's in that like middle space right now, which is so painful, where it sounds like she has given up hope for a better past, but she still has hope for a better future. But PK's not different. He's still PK.
Oh my God. He's
like,
actually worse PK, it feels like.
He's not, I wouldn't want to get under a roof with that guy.
Hell
he
no.
seems like tense and anyways, I just hope, as I've said all along, I just hope everyone gets a lawyer. But at least I'm glad to know that PK didn't do the thing where he roamed town and got all the lawyers so that Dorit was left with no one. If he told her to get representation, my hope is that he secured good representation and will allow her the same opportunity so that they can genuinely work this out for the best way they can for their kids.
He didn't Tom Wamscam.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Brutal.
Right?
I'll never forget it. Never forget it. Yes. Then we moved to Bose's house where Keely is coming over to have dinner with Lael because they haven't done really anything with the three of them together. And I thought it was really sweet that he brought the flowers for Lael.
And he seemed nervous. It was kind of cute. He was like, I brought these for Lael. I brought them for Lael. I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
And Bose even says in her confessional that she's really anxious and excited, but she's more anxious about the dinner. Like that's winning out over the anxiety.
I think the stakes here are that there's never been like one-on-one time, that Keely and Lael have only hung out in groups of people or at events or something. So this is the first weird, quiet dinner the three of them are going to have together. And Lael, if she didn't just step right into the driver's seat and do an amazing job, just talk about getting clarity. She was like, are you guys going to move in together before marriage? Are you going to move up here? Would I have to relocate? When are you going to have kids? Do you want more than one? And she was just like gently asking all these questions. And I think about who I was when my mom started dating when I was in my teens. I was just like, who is it? Is it Cartman's sister on South Park where she's just like, oh God, Cartman, just like in a terrible mood, arms crossed. I would never have been so generous as to like be curious. I was just like, you're taking my mom away from me and I don't like you. You're a weird old man and don't kiss my mom. That's fucking gross.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's gross. Especially when you're like 16 and your dating life is just beginning. To watch like old people make out was awful.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And here she is asking questions about babies and moving in. And I was like, oh my God, you are so evolved. What What a impressive young woman.
I really liked that she said, dude, no, I'm not moving to fucking San Diego. I'm finishing high school here with my friends. Extremely fair, extremely reasonable
And
request.
Keely was like, yes, of course,
Totally.
so
Totally.
yeah, he
Yeah.
wouldn't want to uproot her.
So, yeah, she's asking what the timeline is. And Keely says her mom has great values. And Bose in her confessional says her late husband was a great dad. He is a giant in Lael's mind. And I didn't really bring anyone around her, like dating wise, because they weren't necessarily worthy, but Keely is worthy. So I respect her choices.
I do too.
Not that it's any of my business or my opinion would weigh in at all, but I respect that. Kids are worthy of respect and being taken seriously.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then here we are. Mo
Yay,
comes
yay,
to
yay.
Kyle's and he is so nervous. Like, is it Portia who's down there who gives him a
Yeah.
hug? And she's like, you're hot. Like his temperature was like running high because he's walking into, just an uncomfortable conversation that you have to have. And unfortunately, they have to do it on camera. And Kyle asks, so how was your trip? And he goes, I only partied like 4 and 5 nights out of 25. And then Kyle becomes like instantly some sitcom style, like nagging wife with her arms crossed and is like, I find that hard to believe. And then he goes, I promise, I promise. I was like, ugh, this dynamic is so gross. And nobody's talking about what they're there to talk about. So he's just bouncing around the kitchen, clattering in cabinets and stirring his coffee like louder than I've ever heard anyone stir anything in my life. And then finally he says, which I was mad at Kyle for making him do it, like, just help. So he says, obviously, I got photographed in Mykonos airport. You know, I would never want to hurt you or the kids on purpose. And I'm sorry that happened. And Kyle said, it's hard to see, but we're separated now and we're allowed to do what we want. It's just strange, And that's where I was like, Morgan. Like, that's all that was in my head. I was like, yeah, he knows. You know how he knows? Because you did it first. He saw you with this woman first. He saw you in a produced music video in light bondage gear. He saw Morgan all over last season of his show. What are you doing?
Kyle disgusted me on 2 separate occasions in this conversation. Oh my God, I'm so enraged that I had to stop talking for a minute. When he first comes over, she says in her confessional that things have changed and seeing the picture. She doesn't know what his relationship is with the woman in the photo. Then she says, I know how women are.
That was a gross comment. It was so damning.
Yep.
Ugh.
And then he's like what you just said. He says that I didn't know the picture was going to get taken. I would never do anything to hurt you or the kids. I'm really sorry for hurting you. I would never do that on purpose. Kyle says that she knows that. I know you didn't know your picture was being taken. I don't know that the other person didn't know that. Again, more LVPing in the situation. The woman is at fault for these things. Fuck you, dude. Even Josh was like, dude. And all of these things, too, were like fishing for more information. She wants more information. And again, she is photographed on the regular with Morgan Wade. She is with Morgan. She has been with Morgan for 2 years.
Yeah. The kiss, that level of kiss is a different, that was intense. And I get it. I mean, I've been around enough people. Like, it's normal to want to blame the other person and not the person that you fell in love with and you devoted your life to and you trusted and loved. But it's just not a good look. And again, for someone with daughters, it's like an unpleasant lesson to be giving them that like young women aren't to be trusted. They're devious and it was just icky.
Should Mauricio be blaming Morgan for all of the times that she and Kyle were papped together? Bullshit. He would never.
No.
It's not believable. It's out of the realm of comprehension that he would blame Morgan for that shit. It's, oh my God,
Yeah.
I just made fists and like held my breath really tight. She makes me so mad.
And it's just not like a home wrecking situation. Like, there have been people in my life who villainized the other woman, but it was because the partner left for that other woman, But I don't know what happened in this marriage. I don't even know if they know what happened because apparently, according to therapist, life coach, Dr. Jamie, they don't ever talk about real issues. So I don't know whatever happened. But Kyle in her confessional says that we're both entitled to live our lives. But how did we get here? If we care so much about each other, how did we allow this to happen? Everything we built is shattering, like the rug being ripped out. And she says, I did not expect my life to go this direction. And she weeps and gets a tissue, and Mauricio hugs her. And it's like, it's a breakup.
Yeah. And
you don't
she's
ever
also,
get into a relationship expecting it to end, but they do. And so they're breaking up.
she also, though, it's like, I feel like she's trying to make us crazy. I feel like she's she's forgetting that what we've been watching for.
Well, and if I was Mauricio, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But like also
You gave her a tattoo of a K.
giggling and like just it was more the energy between the two of them that was just so like not what she ever gave or got from Mauricio. That was weird.
No. I mean, actively rejecting his affection in his office. Ew, okay, don't do that. Like when he goes to kiss her. Stop gaslighting me, you asshole.
But they're both doing it. Mauricio's complicit too. I wish he had just said like, yeah, I know how that feels because I spent 2 years feeling that. But I think they're in some sort of agreement to maybe keep his prior affair secret. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I bet fucking Kyle is the one who's doing it. Okay, there we go. She's fucking projecting because she does it. She is the one that calls the paps, so that woman must have been the one. She knows how women are because that's how Kyle is when she said those things. That's not mind-blowing, is it? That's not a revelation. You're like, yeah, and?
No, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, that's the problem with people it's why people who withhold information make me crazy. Because they give me enough of the story to make me feel insane. So I don't know. And this woman could very well have called the paparazzi, and that is not the reason that your marriage is ending.
Yeah.
So it actually doesn't matter.
That's a really good point. It's a really good point. Yes.
And
yes.
in fact, all it's doing, as Kyle says, the photos make clear it's permanent. And that's actually a service. It's real loss. It's real grief. And divorcing is hard, but, the right thing is not always the easy thing. These people have no business being together anymore. They haven't for years. And it started with Mau-rgan on TV, at least. So this is really hard to take, her being floored and shell-shocked and
oh my God,
so damaged.
Oh my God.
So weird.
So weird. So weird. It just makes me have zero sympathy for her, regardless of what she's going through, which on any other person, not any other person, but on people who I respect, I would be like, dude, I get it. I can see this from both people's perspective, but I don't respect Kyle. I think she's a manipulative. I don't need to say it again. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Move on. Move on.
Well, we move on to a St. Lucia packing montage, and Avi spins Sutton around in a chair. Jagger tells Dorit that her Paco Rabanne cami is not mature enough.
Oh my God, I loved it, dude.
Was the best read I've ever heard in my life.
100.
Kyle presents dress options to Jen. Jennifer Tilly pulls out a crazy hat and said that she would just wear it with like heels or something in an Erica Jane moment. Erica Jane looks at hoe shorts. And Bose says that St. Lucia is the only country in the world named after a woman.
Oh my God.
And that blew my whole mind. I was like, oh my God. And I love that. I love to know that.
I do too, but
I was
at
so
the
glad
same
for that piece of
time,
information.
At the same time, it makes my stomach sink. Like, Jesus Christ, really?
Well, it's
really?
not like women had the opportunity.
I know,
they
but
could have made all the maps that got all the boys everywhere, but the boys are that was just our
disgusting. So then they are arriving at LAX, and the irony of Kathy fucking Hilton wearing a T-shirt that says "Compassion can't wait." I beg of anybody, I beg of the universe to make this insanity stop. Get her off our screens. She is, of all the people to wear that shirt, of all the people.
I didn't even catch it. I'm glad I didn't, because it is
infuriating.
Incongruous. Kyle says she's ready to escape the paparazzi, who I guess are just hounding her. And Jennifer Tilly shows off some Hermes jewelry case, and I just wrote, "Ask Ramona."
Oh my God.
What is this thing? I know you'll know.
Her luggage with the hand-painted Queen of Hearts card on it, I swooned. Oh, I loved it. And then oh my God, the vintage Hermes jewelry box. So I used to work for Trish McAvoy when I did makeup like so many fucking years ago. And Trish is famous for these planners. And I once got one made of a beautiful like fuchsia pink Hermes leather. And there's something about Hermes leather that's just really special and unique. And it has a really good feel and a real like the older they get, like the more broken in they are, they're sumptuous and luxurious. And the fact that they were like vintage, that's what I love about Jennifer Tilly. She goes to the beat of her own drum. She knows the worth of that shit. And I don't mean the financial worth either. I just mean like the craftsmanship and the uniqueness. Because nothing is made that well anymore. Probably Hermes isn't even made that well anymore, probably. So
Well, and Erica Jane
gorgeous.
seems to really appreciate it every time Jennifer Tilly has a piece, some vintage piece. Erica Jane really does seem to, and just, but she appreciates it too. She just like really seems to understand what's valuable about it. And I appreciate that. Then we find out they're all on separate flights to Miami, but they'll take a flight to St. Lucia together. That seems chaotic, but whatever. And we arrive at the hotel with a full police escort.
What the fuck was up with that? What was up with low-key, St. Lucia Secret Service?
I don't know.
I would thought, like, are my eyes deceiving me when they did the drone shot? Bose assigns the rooms, and I guess Sutton and Jennifer Tilly are going to have to share the same bed.
That's crazy, but I love it.
And then, oh no, go ahead, Margie, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the rooms are gorgeous and the property is gorgeous and St. Lucia is gorgeous and yeah.
Erica Jane at some point says that Bose is giving Kathy Hilton a run for her money on the trips that they've organized, respectively. You think? Like Telfar jelly bags and St. Lucia versus fugly-ass hats in Oceanside? Yeah. Compassion can't wait. Jesus Christ. Then I loved this. Jennifer Tilly has like, not good and plenties because they were like the rainbow version of them, but she had
Mike's? I don't know what they are. No, they're good and plenties. I think
they
you're
are
right.
good and plenties, but they're not
so.
the licorice ones. Okay. And then she says, "Oh no, Mr. Bill." And I was like, holy shit, deep fucking cut, dude. If nobody knows what Mr. Bill is, please YouTube Mr. Bill. It's random and chaotic and hilarious and strange.
And I just love that Jennifer Tilly travels with Candy. I relate deeply, and I relate to how unnerved she was that her candy crutch, gets her past dramatic dinners with the girls has been spilled in her bag.
Oh my God, yes.
I love it.
I've traveled with C's before.
Oh, I always do because I'm just like never sure. Just a bag of M&Ms. You know what I mean? Just for safety.
Hilarious.
We all have our things.
So we have our first in earnest conversation. Sutton is talking to Jennifer Tilly and Garcelle, and she says, "Did I say hello to Dorit at the fashion show? No, because there's weird vibes." She says, "Dorit digs at me pretty hard." And Garcelle in her confessional is like, "Sutton still has ice in her eyes," referring to Dorit.
That was the look I was talking about last week, where she lowers her forehead, but her eyes stay up.
Yes.
That's her look.
Yes, yes.
Dead eyes, chin down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then we're with Dorit, Erica, and Bose, and Dorit just says she wants to enjoy the trip, and she hasn't spoken to Sutton, but this I didn't understand. She said she senses Sutton's coming in with wrath, but then she does this like cutesy, like, "Uh-oh, I've been a bad girl" interpretation of wrath. I don't understand.
I don't either. I think she's wrong.
And then back in Sutton's, she's saying that she's been watching Dorit with Kyle, which was interesting, and that they're besties again. And she notes that the forgiveness factor is so easy between them. And I did appreciate Garcelle here for saying they've always had that, and people would say that we've always had that. So like in some friendships, it's just not a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can also see how Sutton's like, with me, they're not like that. And how that could just feel so unfair. Like, give me some grace. You're giving her grace. Why not give me some grace?
I mean, Kyle did
Ew,
take
but
that trip
then,
down to Augusta. You know, I don't know
oh my God,
what
you're
does
right,
Sutton want?
Margie.
How
You're
much
right.
does she want? How much time, attention, energy, focus? Like
You're
at a
right.
certain point, it's like
You're right.
you're going to the hardware store for milk, and they actually gave you milk, and now they're out. So go somewhere else. You have great friends sitting in this room with you.
And what I just said goes against what I said at the beginning. We were talking about Erica Jane wanting grace. But again,
Mm,
I feel like it's comparing apples and oranges. Oh, who fucking cares?
I
I'm
don't
a hypocrite.
know.
I'm full hip in this situation, and I have a very toxic relationship with Sutton Strack that
Likewise,
is not good for me. No, but yours. I understand. Mine is not
she's a
congruent.
processing tool for
Oh
me.
shit,
She
that's a
is.
great way of looking at it. I love it, and it's not like I'm not aware. Not like I'm not
Mhm.
aware of my shortcomings in this parasocial relationship. Not quite parasocial, but you
I
know what
just
I'm
think if
saying.
she turned on you and said to you things that she says to like Dorit and stuff, it would just, you would not have tolerance for it.
Yeah, no, I would not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But these, like, you know, we've said before, these are not normal friend groups. And Jennifer Tilly points out that she likes the girls, but they're very cliquey. And Jennifer had expected they'd all like her and get along. They have all this like deep history and it makes them come off as cliquey. Then we get this amazing flashback to Jennifer Tilly's like hippie childhood. Those
Yeah.
pictures were fucking great. And she talks about how she was always excluded from the popular group because in high school she was the weird hippie girl who didn't take a bath very often. And I was
Wow.
like, oh my God, you have always been your own entity. And I love it.
You know how that phenomenon where, in program again, they always say don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Learning that Jennifer fucking Tilly was
An
intimidated
outcast. Yeah.
intimidated by these women. That is something I would never in a million years expect of her because I project all of these ideas of what she's like in real life. And to learn that someone like Jennifer Tilly, who's on the surface a real interesting, beautiful, magnetic person, that she feels what I feel when I'm trying to penetrate a new group was shocking. And also reminded me, like, dude, everybody is a human being, unless you're like pathological or something diagnosable, like narcissistic personality disorder. You know what
Well,
I'm saying, in
and that it's
general.
all informed from your past. Because her reaction
Yes.
to these women, she traces it straight back to high school.
Yeah.
And she's having those same feelings. If it's hysterical,
Damn.
it's historical. And she's just having her high school feelings. And she's fully able to take care of herself as an adult in this situation, which I appreciate. But the feelings are high schooly. And I'm sure I would feel the same. I'm
Totally.
sure of it.
I didn't expect that from her, and it was. I find her fascinating. I'm so glad she's on this show. She fascinates me. Kathy Hilton disgusts me.
Yeah, I wonder if Jennifer Tilly will stay. I don't know if it's worth her time and energy. And,
Mm,
you know,
good question. Good
when you're
question.
that distraught about your travel candy exploding, it's not a stable environment. Like I would take stock of that and be like, oh no,
Uh,
if it's this difficult to not have my candy to soothe myself after spending time with this group of women, maybe I shouldn't spend time with this group of women. Then we see Sutton sort of weeping and breaking down a little bit and talking about the only person that supports her is Garcelle, which I thought was rude to Jennifer Tilly. And but then she explains that she's sad because Kyle doesn't support her. That's when I was like, she just went to your home in Augusta again. I'm like, what do you mean? This is where everyone's gaslighting me. I'm like, I know I saw it. I know I saw her get on a plane and go to your family home and talk with your mom. And I'm just confused. I'm confused. And Garcelle in her confessional says that's the $1 million question. Why does Sutton stand up for Kyle when Kyle doesn't always stand up for her? And I guess the always is the important word in there for me because
mm,
I did see Kyle go to her. I don't need to say it again. I don't know what the expectation is. And I don't know if Kyle knows what the expectation is. And maybe she wouldn't even try to be friends if I don't know what's going on. It's all just this unspoken hurt. So maybe it looks like they'll get to it on a boat in the near
dude,
future.
And I do think that Sutton and Jennifer Tilly, like they're very close. So
They're
I
like
think,
sisters.
yeah. So I think that what she was saying when she said Garcelle's the only one that sticks up for me is because like ever since they were both on the cast together,
Like
I
in
think
that
that's what
group
she's
of women.
in that
Yeah,
group of
I'm
women.
sure you're
Yeah,
right. I'm
yeah.
glad.
I don't
Of
think that
course.
I would say that. Well, I can't know for sure, obviously, but I don't think that Jennifer Tilly like even blinked an eye at that.
I bet
think
you're
she
right.
I think
Yep.
she knows what she said. Yeah, she said something that breaks my heart. Like, I want them to like me so much, but I can't get them to. Talk about your inner child being in that driver's seat.
Yeah.
Dude,
Someone needs
unfiltered,
to go to an
low
Al-Anon
self-esteem.
meeting.
Yes,
Real bad.
exactly. So yeah, and we see the group 24 hours later, dramatic. We see them ganging up on Sutton on a boat. Woo!
Yeah. And Sutton breaking down, like cussing and screaming, "What do you all fucking want from me?" I don't know what goes on that boat, but
They hate when she shows her humanity. And I understand because her humanity, again, is like real splattery. It splatters on everyone and it's chaotic, as you said earlier. But they don't like it when she shows vulnerability. They go in for the kill, and I don't like that.
I want to point out we didn't see that part of it. We just saw Sutton's reaction. So I do wonder if they just tried to open up a conversation and say, like, money shaming someone who's like going through a divorce and could like lose her house and her children she's not sure how she'll take care of. Like, maybe now's not the time to money shame her over a caviar potato. And if that's what led to like, what do you fucking want from me? Then like, I don't know. We'll see. But whatever happened, this is a hard trip for her, it appears.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's that on that.
That's that on that.
What else did you watch?
Did I already talk last week about, I know I talked either last week or the week before about watching the Belle Gibson.
You did talk about it, yeah.
And then did I say that I watched a show called Apple Cider Vinegar?
I can't remember.
So that was like the dramatic limited series, like the fictional series written based on the articles that came out about her, written by the journalist, and also the documentary called Apple Cider Vinegar. Both the documentary and this limited series are out on Netflix, and I wasn't feeling super well over the weekend, and I binged the entire Apple Cider Vinegar series. And then I snorted up every Belle Gibson podcast, any content I could find, because I'm just so fascinated. I watched White Lotus. My sister and I had a really interesting conversation about, like, she assumed that I would think, well, I also don't want to give spoilers. So one of the characters is she finds disgusting. And I have so much compassion for this man. And I don't want to give away spoilers because I hate when other people do that. But she was just awestruck that I did and that I have compassion for this person. Anyway, I love Prestige TV. I love what it does to my soul. I love that it makes me think. Yellow Jackets. I'm still not done with Traitors. We took such a couple weeks break, and so it's like we broke the Traitors momentum, and now it's hard to get back into it. And I'm trying to avoid spoilers still, so whatever. And then I binged on Palm Royale over, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 days. Oh my God. It's like walking into a beautiful candy store. The colors, the costumes, the sets. I think the acting is fantastic. I am just so entertained. I know it came out last year, but I don't know. I have this thing where I can't watch TV if I'm not like totally in the mood when it comes out. I have to wait until like the perfect time. And I thought it was beautiful. And if I ever get a facelift, I want to see exactly who Kristen Wiig saw. God damn it, she looks good.
She looks amazing.
Woo! Anyway, that's what I watched. Friend, how about you?
I watched, well, you mentioned it last week. So I watched like all of Love is Blind. Now,
Oh my God.
by watch, I didn't keep my focus on the screen the whole time. Certainly not at the beginning. I could not have been more bored. So it was
my God, the
background
pods.
noise. I was so bored. I was like, okay, this will just get me through work. So, but then toward the end, it got fascinating. And for the first time on any dating show, they address politics and religion and prenups and money. And I was like, oh, it's all happening. Like, it was so fascinating to me. women made choices in support of their value system ahead of being a married person, which is a hopeful look at the next generation and hard decisions. Like love doesn't go away because you recognize that your values won't align enough to build a long-term relationship. So I was really fascinated.
Was this season 7 that you watched or season 8 that just came out?
The one that just came out, the Minnesota, is that where they are? Minneapolis?
Okay, well, that's good because I haven't watched that yet. I was
Sorry. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I was talking about season 7.
You literally just said I hate when people give spoilers and look at me.
No, but you didn't.
I'm so
You didn't give
sorry.
any spoilers. I promise you. I'm glad because I thought you were talking about season 7 because that was the first one that I saw where they talked about politics, religion, and prenups. So I'm glad to see that
Maybe
trend
I missed that one.
trend continued in season 8. So yeah, I was too Love is Blinded out to start season 8 yet. I cannot spend 5 episodes in the fucking pods. It's so goddamn boring.
So boring.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to watch it. You didn't spoil anything, friend, I promise. You talked about it in a general way.
I did talk about it in a general way, but but they talk about the specifics of and they do actually a lovely job. One woman says, I don't want to talk about my partner's belief system, but I'll tell you what I believe in. It's the sneakiest way of just absolutely putting his belief system on blast. And I was like, good, fine. But it's also just the truth. He'll find someone who aligns with him and she will find someone who aligns with her. And clearly they were too disparate. And I appreciate that they had the conversation so they didn't have to go through a divorce. Anyways, I was fascinated. I was so bored and then totally in. So what a ride.
I can't wait. Okay, good. And what was your antidepressant this week, friend?
My antidepressant this week. Oh, I got to hang out with my goddaughter and my good friend. I had this short window of time on Sunday and I got to see them. I walked over to Jones on 3rd and just laughed and laughed about the made up history of butts and farts and just the kind of conversation that really is what I'm all about. Yeah, I adore them both and I'm always buzzing after I get to spend time with them. I had coffee and short rib enchiladas and a great time with my friends. So
Yay.
It was amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad.
How about you? What was your antidepressive?
Let's see. I have been increasing my mindfulness work as my incorporation of psychedelic medicine into 25 years or more of therapy. There were some challenging parts for me when we were in Portland where I had a shame spiral that really, I don't want to say I hit rock bottom with my shame or my anxiety, but I want to say that it definitely shuttled me at lightning speed into really looking at my shame. I think I've shared before that I started my journey with ketamine because I was too afraid to go to my shame that was formed as a child as a way to cope with what it was like to live in my house and grow up in my house and be a child in my house. Oh, I'm massaging my heart right now as I talk about this. That's new for me. That's new behavior for me. So this mindfulness work, I feel so raw and so vulnerable right now. But the fact that I know that I'm not suffering, but processing, it makes me so happy. I'm so uncomfortable. I don't remember the last time I was this uncomfortable. But I'm having reactions like, okay, well, this feels bad and it's okay. This is part of the process. I'm all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but again, you know how actors are always like, I don't know, it happened overnight, but then not really because they've got 10 years of auditions where they didn't book behind them. It's for me, I've had 25 more or less years of therapy trying to get to this place, but it happened overnight. So I'm able to see things like, well, that didn't feel good, this choice I just made. So I'm going to do something different next time instead of going, oh my God, Ramona, I can't believe you fucking did that, you piece of shit. Gray thinking is really in the driver's seat right now. Compassion for myself and other people is in the driver's seat right now. I have a couple weeks of compassion for my father, which I never thought I would get to. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I don't have to do anything about it today. I don't have to make a call. I don't have to send a text, nothing. I'm just sitting in it oh, this is interesting. And thinking like that, just observing it. being in rain, living in rain, recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. It's so satisfying and interesting, and it makes me feel like the palpable growth. So it feels like an antidepressant, even though it's an uncomfortable, vulnerable, raw place to be. I'm thrilled. Anyway,
Love that.
yeah, that's my antidepressant.
Just ever evolving.
Yeah. All right, friends, that brings us to the end of another episode of A Therapeutic Dose. If you are listening on Spotify and you have a moment to just hit the 5 stars if you're enjoying yourself listening to us, it would help so much. It helps our visibility
On
within
any platform, right?
any yes. So Spotify, you can just hit the star. That's that's super easy. On Apple, you're able to hit the stars, which again, if you listen through the Apple Podcast app, if you want to hit the 5 stars for us, we'd be super grateful. But you can also, if you want extra credit, you can write something, write a review as well. And we would really appreciate it. You can find us on Instagram at A Therapeutic Dose. And you can always drop us an email at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com. Working on the website, but for now, that's our email. Take really good care of yourselves. Drink water. Take your hand to your heart and just soothe your inner child. And you're doing your best. Every day you're doing your best. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody take good care of yourselves, and we'll talk next week.
We'll talk next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.